Alright guys, I'm back for some gaming news, and let's get into it. So we got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 campaign was developed on a very rushed schedule report. The dev team reportedly a year and a half to make the campaign. So Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is less than a day away, although it's out by now at this point, guys. Actually, some of my friends have bought into the craze, you know how that goes. Anyways, and the campaign has been receiving poor reviews from the various outlets, according to a new report that may be due to, in part, to the campaign having been developed in far less time than the usual Call of Duty single. Yeah, it was meant to be an expansion. So, one thing I should mention, guys, is supposedly there was a what do you call it? An error that popped up on the disc. For like a disc for like please insert Modern Warfare 2. So it was meant to be an expansion. 3-hour campaign. You got the lackluster maps. I mean, they're bringing back old maps, but it's not like this is not worth $75. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm probably just gonna wait on it before I even decide to get it. If I do get it at all, I might have told my friends that I'll probably get it at some point, but it's not worth $75, I don't think. You got maybe 5 maps they're bringing back. I don't know. I didn't look at the exact amount, but it's not worth they're saying it is. But anyways, according to a Bloomberg report, Call of Duty campaigns are usually developed in about 3 years, but the story mode in Modern Warfare 3 was made in less than a year and a half. It created a lot of stress for the dev team, and many hope this doesn't reflect negatively on the Microsoft owns Activision Blizzard. I don't know, man. This is crazy. The Bloomberg report explains that a large reason why Modern Warfare 3 was rushed, and because it was meant to replace another COD game that was originally planned for this year. Modern Warfare 3 was originally meant to be a DLC, but as development for it continued, it eventually turned into a full-blown game. Yeah, well, a year of development. Let's be real here. So this was cooking for a year behind the scenes. That's not a AAA 70-plus hour game. That's like, I mean, the campaign's only 3 hours from what I've heard. That's a DLC. That's not a full $75 AAA game. I don't know what these companies are smoking. They must be smoking something real good because anybody can see through this BS. But anyways, I don't know, guys. This is craziness. So it's also worth mentioning that an Activision spokesperson has denied the rumors of Modern Warfare 3 initially being a DLC. Still, an unnamed handful of COD devs have backed up the original claim. Most devs who worked on it were led to believe that it was an expansion until much later in development. The studio head of ShMoR3S, Aaron Hallen, I think I pronounced that correctly, explained that the confusion amongst the dev team started because it was a new type of direct sequel. What I can understand is they just made the Call of Duty, like, it's like a hub basically, like the whole Call of Duty network now, and they're basically building a game after game, and you can like expand. You have the Call of Duty hub, then you have Call of Duty title games in the hub. Whenever they come out with a new one, basically they're trying to make it so like they're cross-compatible with each other, so any unlocks you get from the previous version would carry over to the new one. And so, like, they're like, you know what I mean, right? That's what they're trying to do. So in that sense, it makes sense. But at the same time, you can't just say one year development equal to $75 AAA title. That in that case, it was a lie. They were just they were lazily rushing the project. You done the consumer dirty at that point. It doesn't pass the smell test.
It's easy to swap PlayStation 5 slim disc between consoles, but you need the internet. Once you slide in the disk drive, you'll need to register it. You can easily swap the detachable disk drive on the new PlayStation 5 Slim model between consoles with nothing but your fingers, another disk drive, and an internet connection. In order to use the disk drive, you'll have to register it online. Mystic makes this process sound relatively painless. You'll simply connect your PlayStation 5 to the internet, update the firmware, and the disk drive will activate. Once you've done this, you can use the disk drive and play games offline with a PSN login. Functionally, the drives are interchangeable. Once registered, you can swap to different disk drives without having to repeat the register process. Unless you factory reset the console, should you wish to upgrade your digital console, your disk drive breaks, and you need to replace it, you can plug in another disk drive and connect it to the internet. This requirement does raise questions about futures of preservation on these PS5 consoles, as without the internet check in the drive is unusable. Mystic says in the video, Sony is likely in a position where they've been proactively compliant with DMCA lobbying, since it's typically a requirement for an online check-in when Blu-ray drives are changed. Yeah, so to be honest with you guys, the more of these like red tape functions that these companies add to these consoles, like say the CMOS battery, the more like these pieces of hardware are kind of like dead in the water after their generation. And like it doesn't make any sense. You can't play games like if the console requires an internet check for every little thing. One of them, as obvious reasons, like you start up your console for the first time, it needs to be able to connect with the Sony server, and that is in itself an issue because if you buy a console later down the line, secondhand, like off of somebody, and you want to be able to use it, you buy a PlayStation 4 in here today, or PlayStation 5, and you want to be able to play old games on it. Well, for one, if somebody would already factory reset the console before selling it to you, that thing is basically a brick because it needs to connect to Sony servers, and if that doesn't have Sony server support anymore, then just like full freaking red tape functionality. Everything's all digital, all like internet platform. Everything's like server based today. You guys get what I'm saying, right? It just, I see more of this stuff going into the future with these things. This requirement does raise questions about the future of preservation of these PlayStation 5 consoles, as without the internet check-in, the drive is unusable. Sony is likely in a position where they are being proactively compliant with the DMC lobbying, since it's typical a requirement for an online check and when Blu-ray discs are changed. So, a lot of the red tape functionality that these companies are adding is definitely gonna hamper preservation. Like, it's common sense here. If you have to freaking take, when you buy a digital console for one, if you have to take that digital drive, one thing to install it yourself, but then I have to bring it up, turn it on, have an internet check be done, uninstall when you install a different one with a different registered creation, you have to hook that one, and you basically have another internet check be done. And on top of that, then when you have to go back and do that again once you've factory reset your console for the same device, asinine at that point. That's not even to mention the CMOS battery issue that the PlayStation 4 had. Who knows if this one has that same issue. We're going to take a look at that here in a second, but Sony had to patch that out. Here, I'll show you guys. The only article I could find. I mean, there's probably others, but this is the first one that came up. But this is from a while back. I think I mentioned this in a video in the past. 9.0 firmware update. Sony has addressed an eventual PS5 CMOS battery issue, a so-called C-bomb, that would have eventually one day led to a situation when the PlayStation users PlayStation 4 would be unable to play digital or physical games. Briefly sum up the situation: when a CMOS battery inside the PlayStation 4, the one used to track the internal date and time, inevitably dies because nothing lasts forever, the console can spit out an error, CE, the error code right there, that breaks the ability to play games. This error is because trophies on PlayStation 4 require the internal system clock, the one you can't see and alter, to be correct. So people can't change their PlayStation 4 date and time to make it look like they got trophies earlier than they really did. Your PlayStation 4 clock battery dies, all your games die. Yeah, that was an issue. And they eventually patched it, but like, going into the future of this console life cycle, who knows what problems pop up on completely different hardware. You have no idea how Sony designed these things to work until once we're looking at the PlayStation 5 and the rear view mirror in the future, then we'll understand preservation-wise how this console is going to shape out to be. But until then, we'll just have to see preservation, because they don't want to have to deal with licensing issues. Yes, Sony needs to fix this stuff, or get on figuring out a permanent solution for preservation, because some of this stuff, I don't know. We got issues going forward.
That's all I can say to that.
PlayStation Portal release date, price, and everything we know about Sony's new PlayStation handheld. I was under the impression that this thing was already out already. But finally, a new Sony handheld gaming console yeah, is in development. This is that streaming thing with no guts in it. The new PlayStation is definitely in people's hands, the PlayStation Slim. I know that one for sure. But at long last, Sony has a new handheld gaming console in the wake. To be honest, guys, I want an actual dedicated console from Sony, not this streaming bullshit. I'm just like, I remember the PSP days. Those were the days. The PS Vita, but I want one of those. I don't want this streaming BS. That's what annoys me the most. Moving on. At long last, Sony has a new handheld gaming console on the way, kind of. Revealed at PlayStation Showcase in May. PlayStation Portal is a streaming device that can transmit PS5 games directly from the console and onto its screen. Sony is entering cloud gaming territory that Microsoft has had a major presence in for years, but Sony has its work cut out for it? Yeah, you're telling me. When it comes to marketing this hardware and convincing consumers as to why it's better than a tabletop, a tablet, or smartphone. Yeah, why is it better? I could just use my phone in my pocket. Apple's already getting in on it too. Using remote play and a Bluetooth tethered controller. Sony has confirmed that the PlayStation Portal will launch on November 15th, priced at $199. Pre-orders are now live at PlayStation Direct. That's today, isn't it? As I'm literally editing this. Are now live at the PlayStation Direct. For comparison, the Nintendo Switch OLED model has an MSRP of $350 and Steam Deck starts from $500 and Logitech G Cloud Gaming handheld consoles usually $350. Here's the thing. This thing in comparison to a Steam Deck and a, I don't know, Nintendo Switch, thing does not compete. Like, Nintendo Switch is a full dedicated handheld. It's not, it does have some streaming aspects to it, but for the most part, it's not a streaming console. This thing, still, I own a PlayStation 5 over there. I'll show you guys. Now, it's not my preferred console, but because I play Halo a lot more, I'm obviously more gravitated toward Xbox. Get it from my exclusives. Ever since I was a kid, I've had a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. My brother had a PlayStation 3. I didn't actually start getting an Xbox. I've actually first been a PlayStation fan before I've gotten an Xbox. And I've just kind of been Xbox. I still get other consoles, like, outside of, like, what I'm used to. So, even someone like me, cannot justify that. But that's just me. I'm not, like, hardcore for any platform. Mostly with whatever platform has got my exclusive games that I tend to play a lot. You know what I mean? Like Halo. I want an actual handheld from Sony, not this. Whatever the heck this atrocity is. Pre-orders are live today, guys. If you guys are interested, I honestly am not. I could, if I wanted to stream, do what the article is telling me to do, and get the newest, latest iPhone and get a backbone. I hear streaming at 720p is pretty good on there. It won't overheat your phone unless you up it more. Streaming Game Pass games or whatever other streaming services pop up in the future, I have no idea.
Check out both my Twitter for news I don't get in vid form. I also upload on TikTok and Instagram.